This is alright, isn't it? Yeah? Okay. Well, I think people's reaction to talking about the last time I saw you with Big Thing, people's reaction to that record was, wow, this is certainly wild and not what we expected from Duran Duran. To me, listening to this one, it even goes perhaps even farther in that direction. Do you see it that way, or do you think it's a bit more, what people might associate with Duran?
I think this one is a little more mainstream, purely because we were more in tune. I think it's we've got a drummer and a guitarist. We've got a more conventional group, unit. And Big Thing, there wasn't automatically drums on every song. There wasn't automatically guitar on every song. There was a bass, a keyboard, and a vocal, and then whatever else we thought we had to fill in the gaps with. This one, there was 5 people all making their own sounds, which is what rock music should be about, or whatever. And then the songs were finished. It was a lot simpler to make.
The new one.
Yeah.
And it seems as though you guys got to work on it pretty quickly after the tour.
We were just, we'd been waiting really for a drummer, for years. Warren, we met with Warren, on Notorious, and he's been with us ever since. But finding Sterling was a real, godsend, really. And the tour was great fun. We were, it was uphill in commercial terms, but creatively we were having such a good time, and the band was growing. We were changing the show every night and adding, and it was just very good, and it was the natural thing was to just get it off the road as quickly as possible and just write. So we actually went back to this kind of studio rehearsal room that we put the tour together in, and the trucks rolled off the last show, and we just went straight to work on the writing.
As you said, Warren had been working with you guys since Notorious, and although Sterling was more recent, was it that big a change when they became official members, or was it more of a technicality, just sort of?
No, it was a change, because it basically meant that we were writing together, and that there wasn't. Duran had always written, we'd always written that way. All of our songs had always been Duran credits. There was never 1 or 2 key songwriters. We used to just jam, and one song might come more from the one guy and another might come from another, but essentially they were all group compositions. And when it was me, Simon, and Nick, we were augmented by other musicians who would kind of, we'd tell them what the kind of thing that we felt was right for here and there. Now we're able to go back to that way of working, and it's better. It's just better. Those guys have got so much energy and enthusiasm.
Of course, it also meant that you guys, I suppose, relinquished 2/5 of the say-so in terms of whether it's be right.
Yeah, but we're not on any ego trips. We just want what's best for the band. Kind of like, Duran Duran without a full-time guitarist, it's a little hard to take, now we're more fully functioning, we can get on the back of a truck and play, if we need to.
Well, certainly the guitarist is felt on this record,
yeah.
All over the place. Is everyone, was it sort of a consensus that it go in that sort of more guitar orientation, or would it just happen?
No, not really. It just happened that way. Warren is so good. I don't think there's really. I think he's kind of working in that area that Steve Vai could lay claim to, 2 or 3 years ago, and he's just state of the art. There's nobody to touch him, I don't think, at the moment. He's got it all, and he's completely on top of the technology, and his actual playing abilities. There's no one to touch him. So it's, when you've got a player like that in the band, you're going to highlight him.
I think he's underrated to a point.
Yeah, but I think people that know him, rate him. So.
Right. I was curious when I just, hearing all the guitar on the record, and it just struck me as a little bit ironic that now Duran sounds probably more like the band that I always thought Andy seemed to have wanted it to to be more like him. Do you think he would have?
Yeah, but he's not singing though, you know.
Oh, there you go.
No, Andy ceased to even see, or he couldn't really hear Duran Duran after after the Power Station experience. I mean, you know, he went beyond it. He didn't see, I don't think he really wanted to share. I think he just wanted to lead, you know.
So it wasn't about a lack of maybe guitar presence in the music that
well, maybe a little of that too, yeah.
Are you at all, I mean, this is something I ask you every time I see you, in touch with him or hear from him, or what he's up to?
No, he's producing, you know. I think he's going down the road.
Looking back, I mean, because as I said, when we get all the guys, all five of you together, we're going to talk a bit more about the new record. But we're also putting together a rockumentary, sort of more retrospective kind of thing. So I want to talk a bit about some of that. I mean, in one phase I did want to ask you about, since you mentioned Andy, with a few years hindsight now, talking of Power Station, how do you think that project, first of all, what it meant to you, what it meant to him, and how you think it sort of holds up now?
Well, it was a terrific experience in terms of the personalities involved. It was quite a hard thing to do in some ways, but I don't know, I did it for all the right reasons. I mean, they were very honest reasons. You know, I had time on my hands, and you know, I wanted to change. I enjoyed working with Robert. I enjoyed getting to know him closely, and I enjoyed getting to know Bernard Edwards closely, and I still rate him. I think he's one of the greatest producers in the world. And I find, actually, like having worked with Niall and Bernard from Chic, I'm finding more and more their music is cropping up. I mean, especially in England, where we're kind of, and don't worry, it's going to happen here too, but there's a slight 70s kind of revival, and we're starting to, you know, wander back towards Saturday Night Fever territory, and, you know, because everything that goes around comes around, and the Chic stuff stands up so well. You know, because when all the dance stuff that we're listening to now has become so standardized and so programmed, which is fine, but to hear the music that those people were making, and it's rock and roll. I always said that Chic were rock and roll. So you know, Bernard was great to listen to, and he always, you know, hammered at me about, you know, to stay playing. And they were always very encouraging about Duran and getting back and saying what Duran were capable of, and remembering that's the golden egg, and you know, when really I was like, hey, anything, I can do anything, you know. But it was very good. The record stands up. It doesn't stand up. I think it stands up alongside the Duran records, right? You know.
Mm-hmm. And did that? I think you said before that experience you've brought something from it to Duran now.
Yeah. Well, it was quite a musical experience. You know, it was about music, mm-hmm. And what it meant was that I had the confidence to then, when I went back to Duran and we went out on tour, and Andy, who'd kind of been musical director, if anybody had, and I kind of took over from him and was able to work with a horn section and, you know, a big band kind of setup, because I'd had that experience of, you know, working with other musicians.
Yeah. Did you feel, you mentioned Andy, I mean, did you feel that within Power Station, did you know at the time that might be the last hurrah for him, so to speak, the last time you worked with him?
Well, in the when we were touring, yeah. I mean, that was what he was, that's what he was saying. When we were making the album, I mean, we were so far out, you know. I mean, you know, this was, yeah, we were very much living, you know, in our own bubble. So, you know, we weren't really thinking of Duran at the time. Duran was flying, you know, and we'd just done the James Bond thing, and it just had wings. So, you know, you didn't have to think about being in Duran Duran, because it was just you were, and that was that, and it was like, mm-hmm. you know, so I don't know. We didn't really think about it that much.
You've touched on before when we were talking about the Big Thing tour.